There's probably nobody in your whole lifetime you've known like Dean Green.
Dean Green was one of the most prolific legal scholars in American history.
He had completely white hair, he was bent over, he shuffled, and he had a booming voice, which he accelerated with his yelling.
By the time I was in his class, he was hard of hearing and couldn't see very well. So he had an ingenious way of dealing with his limitations. When he called on a student, the student was to come down to the front of the room and sit beside him and answer his questions, but also to serve as Dean Green's eyes and ears for the rest of the class.
What I would say is his method of teaching, instead of the Socratic method, was the complete the sentence method. He would make a statement, he would say, and then the plaintiff is supposed to do what? And then he'd say, Ms. Lewis. So you'd complete the sentence.
Dean Green wrote 18 books and published over 140 articles. His last article was published in the Texas Law Review while I had the pleasure of being a member. At the end of the day, he told the editor, he said, this is a fine article. It's not mine, but it's a good article. I think maybe Dean Green thought that perhaps we were heavy-handed in our editing.
One of the things that he's most famous for is his hatred of the idea of proximate cause. His view was that it was totally illegitimate. Dean Green was proud of having founded the Texas Law Review. Part of his reasoning was that it's very beneficial to students.
In private practice, he had actually gone so far as to draw up a plan of financing. He would sell 500 subscriptions at $50 a piece, which would yield $25,000, and that would create an endowment. Additional shares would be sold over time to bring the endowment up to $50,000. So Dean Green came up with a salesman's plan. His argument was that the share costs $50 and we're going to give you a subscription to the Law Review which costs $4. And so your $50 is actually getting an 8% return because you're getting the magazine. Enormously genius idea, kind of a little bit of blue sky in it, I might think, but still a real salesman's knack there. The journal was successful. It's a good example of be careful what you ask for. There was this very prominent Dallas lawyer named Carrington. He sent in a resolution to be considered that the responsibilities for publication of the Texas Law Review would be jointly between the Texas Law School and SMU. So they selected a man to collect proxies. He comes down with a terrible case of the mumps, and his proxies can't be transferred. Dean Hildebrandt, by this time, had the lawyer carried into the room so that he could cast his votes to defeat the hostile takeover by SMU of the Texas Law Review.
Leon Green was an iconic figure at the law school.
He was an enormously influential person in legal education generally. He was a supporter of the legal realist movement. He was a very strong supporter of the case book instruction method. He taught actively at the University of Texas Law School from 1947 into his retirement in 1977.
Here was a man who had been the dean at the University of North Carolina. He had been a dean at the Northwestern University School of Law. We got one of the top minds in tort law.